Hey, what's up guys, Alex here. Thank you for checking this video and welcome to the lesson number 9 of the series of tutorial on how to build a premium theme for WordPress. Welcome again. In the previous lesson, we created a bunch of cool options to activate and deactivate some specific post formats related to the theme support options of WordPress. What I want to do today, I want to extend this functionality that I created in this new section to activate other theme support that are going to be the custom header and the custom background that a user can edit. Before doing that though, I want to roll back a little bit in the sidebar section and I want to create a custom option here that I actually forgot to give the users the ability to delete an uploaded picture, because right now if you uploaded a picture you can just replace the picture, and what if you want to completely remove your profile picture and not having one? We're gonna create this option. So let's jump right into it. Let's open our code editor. First of all, let's access the function sunset underscore sidebar underscore profile. That is the callback function that I'm using to generate that specific settings option. And here we are gonna create, before the echo that it's printing our input, we're gonna create a statement to check if we actually have a picture. So if open brackets empty open brackets $picture, we can do something else. So otherwise we can do something else. So this empty, I think I talked about this in a previous lesson, is a pre-built function of PHP that is detecting if a variable is empty or not, and it's returning a boolean, so it returns only true or false. So if this is empty, this is gonna be true. And if this is not empty, so after the else, I want to print all this stuff here. Otherwise, we're going to print pretty much something similar, but I want to change something slightly. So if this is empty, I don't need to print a value. So I don't need to print the actual variable because it's totally empty, of course. This option instead, so if the variable is not empty, we can customize a little bit more these HTML structure. So instead of writing upload profile picture, we could say replace profile pictures. And after this, I can put a little bit of space and create another button with the same HTML function. So HTML structure with input type equal button. Be careful every time you create an input that it's a button, just put type button. Or if you create like button, always specify type button, because by default the button has a type of submit. So if you're inside a form, it's gonna create some issues, it's gonna submit your form without you knowing it, or without you wanting it actually. Let's use the same class equal. Let's copy all this stuff. We can copy everything because, of course, as usual, we are lazy. We don't want to rewrite stuff. And instead of replace profile picture, like remove profile picture. And instead of using upload button as an ID, we can use remove dash picture as an ID. Let's save it. Let's go back in our administration panel. Let's refresh it. And now we're going to have two buttons because our variable, the profile image, is not empty. We're going to have two buttons. So instead of reusing the same text, maybe it's better a little bit to remove just profile picture and just keep remove as a text. And refresh, so it's more clear the difference between these two buttons. Of course, you can customize the buttons with an image. You can put an icon here, an icon there, but I will leave this to you if you want. Customize more the experience of a user in your administration panel. Now we have to hook a function, a specific JavaScript function, to this button to confirm. First, we always need to confirm the removal of specific picture if we want that. To the user, and after that removing the actual picture from our input field, and then submitting the form right away. So let's go back in our text editor. Let's remember first the remove picture is the ID of this new button that I just created. Let's access the JavaScript file sunset.admin.js, and here we can use pretty much the same function. So $, open brackets, open single quote, hashtag symbol, hash, number symbol, whatever you call this, let's use to detect the ID of our button, that is remove dash picture. .on, we are gonna hook the action of a click, comma function, we're gonna use E, and inside the brackets we're gonna have curly brackets. Let's close with a semicolon at the end, and here we use e.prevent default, because even if we put type button, could happen that a button is actually submitting our form and we don't really want it. So with the e.prevent default, we are gonna avoid whatever action could happen. Now what we could do, we could simply really easily with jQuery function detect the actual ID, remove the value inside the ID of the input that is holding our picture URL, and then submitting the form. But before doing that, as I said, I want a confirmation from the user that they actually want to do that and they didn't click as a mistake that delete button. So what we have to do, we have to use a pre-built function of JavaScript that is gonna call a pop-up alert with a confirmation request. And if the answer is true, we're gonna activate all the process and the function of removing the picture and submitting the form. To do that, we have to create a new variable that is gonna store our answer for the alert of JavaScript, that is gonna be called answer. And the answer is equal to confirm, open brackets, and here we can write the actual message that we wanna send to the user. So here, are you sure you want to delete your profile picture? Question mark, and maybe instead of delete, like remove, because we're not actually deleting the picture, but we're just removing it from the field. And if the variable answer is equal, double equal sign to true, we can do whatever we want. And let's put a return here to log and avoid a function to keep going if we have a different answer. Just as a test, we can put a console log to print a custom message in our JavaScript console in our browser, so we can check if the answer is what we are expecting. So this one, if it's true, we can write yes, please delete. Otherwise, we can put an else, and here we can write console log with a custom message, no, oh my god, please don't. And we please don't. And close it here. Save it. Let's go back in our administration panel. Let's refresh here. Let's open the inspector and let's go in the console section, that if you're on Chrome or Safari, pretty much console is universal, so you can access the console and see all the results here. Let's click remove. Of course, the JavaScript pop-up is going to be triggered by the page because we use the confirm function of JavaScript. And here we have OK or cancel. If we click cancel, we have the message, as I said, no, oh my god, please don't. Instead, if we click remove again and we click OK, we're going to have yes, please delete. So we prove that this JavaScript function is working. I know that could be redundant sometimes, but could happen that your actual function is returning something different, something wrong, and before proceeding in writing the code that is going to edit whatever thing you have in your database or whatever action is going to trigger, it's always better to check with a console log. It doesn't take much and is just confirmation, is a safety precaution before actually editing your code. So now we have to remove the value from the ID. I know that from the previous function, the one that I used to upload a picture and put it inside the input field, I was using this one. So the profile picture ID is the one that is storing the value. So I can just copy this one, paste it here, and instead of writing something, I'm gonna just write empty. And then I can submit the form and force the page to refresh and submit the entire form, but now with the input ID as an empty value. So the database will be updated, the profile picture ID completely empty. So we won't have any profile picture saved. To do that, I have to still use jQuery to access the actual form container and force it with the submission of the form with a JavaScript function. So I know that my form is specified with a unique class called Sunset General Form. So if I want to refer in jQuery to the actual class, I'm gonna use the $, open bracket, single quote, and then dot to refer a class. So the hashtag symbol, the number symbol, is for IDs, and the dot is for classes. So dot Sunset General Form, that is the actual class of my form, dot after outside the brackets, submit, open and close the brackets. So this is a pre-built JavaScript function that will force the submission of that specific form. Let's save it. Let's go back in our administration panel. Let's refresh it. Now we click remove. We click OK. It's not working. And this is pretty normal because we are actually using the JavaScript function to submit a form. But the problem is there's a small conflict here. If we inspect the element and we check the submit button auto-generated by WordPress, we will notice that this button has an ID of submit and the name is submit also. So the JavaScript function cannot submit the form because the submit function is interfering with the submit ID of the button. But luckily we can change this. The submit button function gives us the ability to use some specific attributes built in inside this function. And to reach that specific point, the third attribute, that is the one that we care about, we have to specify the first two. So the first attribute and argument that we want to use is the text parameter of the submit button. By default, the text parameter is the save changes, and we're gonna leave it like that because we like it. So save changes. The second parameter is the type of the button, and of course we want the button to be a primary button because the primary button is the one by default of WordPress that it's blue and is different from the secondary button. So we want to differentiate these two buttons, and we want to keep the submit button, the more important one, has a blue color by default of WordPress. And now we are finally at the third parameter, that is the name. And if other ID is not specified in other parameters, the name will be used as an ID as well. So we have to specify something different from submit. So we could use as simply button submit. We can keep the word submit, but at least it doesn't have to be just simply submit, or this word is going to interfere with our function that we're dynamically using to submitting the form. So let's save it here. Let's go back in our administration panel. Let's refresh. We have, of course, still the button, but instead of ID submit, we're going to have ID button submit and the name button submit. So now if we click remove picture and we click OK, the process will work. Of course, the picture was removed. Here we don't have anymore the preview. If we inspect the element inside our source code, here the profile picture value is completely empty. We don't have any value saved. And you will notice also that we don't have anymore the remove button, and we don't have the replace profile picture that we specified before, where we have upload. So if we select again another picture and choose profile, save changes, of course, it's gonna change. Now we have replace and remove. And if we try again, remove, it's gonna work. Pictures remove it, pages refreshed, everything is saved, and we're good to go. Let's re-put this beautiful, beautiful face inside this wonderful sidebar. And we solved also the problem of removing something. So if you want in the future, or if you create some custom element, and if you want to give the user the ability to remove whatever settings he created, you can just simply use this really easy JavaScript function to check with a confirmation or a jQuery a JavaScript alert, or create a custom pop-up. You can use a model for Bootstrap, whatever, but always ask for a confirmation when you're dealing with deleting some stuff, some values. And if the confirmation is true, you can just empty the value of that specific element and HTML attribute that you're saving, and just like forcing the form to be submitted. So no weird stuff, pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Let's keep going by adding theme options. And as I said, I want to add the options to activate the custom header and custom background pre-built in WordPress. So what we have to do is really straightforward. We have to follow the same logic that we used the previous lesson, and we can just simply extend the new section that I created in the function -admin.php. So let's duplicate the register settings, or before, let's remove the callback function that I don't actually need because I used it in the previous lesson to show you the output of an array for the post format. Let's remove these, let's remove also the comment, and let's duplicate this function, the register settings. I want to still use the same Sunset theme support group because I don't want to create another group. Everything belongs to this group, and instead of post format, I'm going to use custom_header. And here, let's duplicate again, and let's use custom_background. And here I can duplicate again the settings field. So add _settings_fields. String ID is going to be custom-header. String is, as usual, title custom header. The callback is sunset_custom_header. And the page and the section are always the same and no argument to be specified. So copy paste this, and let's duplicate again this entire string and use, instead of custom header, let's use custom background. Custom background. It's pretty simple, right? Here I wrote wrong sunset, so let's sunset. Let's fix this here. Sunset custom. Let's copy background. So we're not gonna use the same mistake. And then let's keep the page and the section and the settings group, and that's perfect. Now we have to create these two functions to print whatever thing we want to print, and it's gonna just be a simple checkbox with a small information. So let's copy the sunset post format here. We don't need all the complicated part that we have in the post format. So let's use custom header get option. We want to check the option of the custom header, and we don't need here all these complicated stuff with the format, the array, and blah blah blah. We just need to keep these two variables, but the second one I'm going to convert it into an echo. So let's paste it here. We want to keep the checked variable because of course we have the same options that is going to be a checkbox. So if the options right now, without any array, any variable inside, is the options is equal to 1, the variable check is going to be checked. So now we can input the checkbox with the proper ID, and my ID is going to be custom header, the same ID of the register settings. The name is going to be custom header as well. The value is going to be 1. And here is going to be activate custom header. Save it. And let's, instead of output this, just echo it straight on. Let's duplicate entirely this function, and let's just replace the name of the function to do exactly the same, but for the background. Let's copy custom background. Put it here, custom background name, custom background ID, checked, activate the custom background, capital B, save it. We can remove the breaking string here, save it. Let's go back in our administration panel, let's refresh it. And of course, we have this new magical and amazing section with a custom header title, activate the custom header, and activate the custom background. Save changes. Of course, the page is saved, all the settings are saved, and this page is refreshed, and we have the checks saved, because of course the option was saved. If we uncheck and we save the changes, this will remain in check. Pretty straightforward. Now what we have to do, again, we have to do exactly the same like we did in the previous lesson. We have to collect these two options and use the pre-built function of WordPress to activate the theme support. So let's go back in our theme-support.php page, and let's go back here, and let's just get the option variable. I want to call it header, and the get option is custom_header, and we can say if condition open brackets if at $option it's equal to 1. Let's add theme support, and the type of support that I want is of course custom-header, semicolon, and let's do exactly the same. Oops, actually this is header is not option. I was using the previous variable, so it's header. Let's duplicate this and let's do exactly the same for our background. So $background is equal to get option custom background, and if the variable background is not empty and it's equal to 1, add the theme support. Yes, you guessed it right. Background, save it. Let's go back in our administration panel, refresh it. We have just a custom background activated here. If we access the appearance settings, we have background option that previously we didn't have. We uncheck everything, save, appearance. There's nothing, just themes, customize and editor. Activate both, save changes, appearance. We have the customize, the header, and background now, so we can go in the customizer, and of course everything works because it's default by WordPress. We're just activating the theme support and we don't have to do anything else. We have the background image, we have the custom header image, and the user can customize all the experience. We're just giving the users the ability to activate or deactivate these options, because in my opinion, it's kind of annoying when you download a theme and you have multiple options here that you're not actually using, and it's cluttering the experience of your administration panel. So if you don't use a specific option, you can just deactivate this option and we're not gonna care about it. So let's save the changes, and that's pretty much it. So also for today's lesson is pretty much it. We completed this custom section. In the next lesson, we're gonna create a custom contact form, and we're gonna collect all the answer of this contact form in a custom post type. So we can always collect all the messages sent from a user and replies and check all the information and keep track of everything. So thank you again for checking this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And if you have a couple of minutes free, please take a look at the support me page on my website to check all the different ways and also free ways for you to support me, my channel, and help me to make better video and better content for you. So thank you again for checking this video, guys, and until the next lesson, as usual, happy coding.